Check out last night's 5-star accommodations. I love you, Maine. Good morning, everybody. Check this out. Surplus Pond, mile 1938. Good morning, Maine. Spent the night last night near East Bee Hill Road. There was a beautiful brook just south of it that I shared in the opening of this episode. Beautiful little waterfall there. Sang me to sleep last night. Got in there right at dusk. Only 14.8 miles yesterday, but that was well earned, and that's actually pretty good for Maine, all things considered. Trying to get my legs to recover a little bit. Maine has been really kicking my butt, in all honesty. I had that 11-day break. I don't want to call it a break because I went home and worked, and hiked a little bit when I was home. So I was looking forward to some of that time to heal a little bit, and I feel I was able to do that. But when I came back, Maine was on top of me with a vengeance. So headed out of camp this morning by this beautiful pond. I just got to show you just a little bit more of it. Maine is beautiful. I have no idea what kind of terrain I'm up against today. I'm just going to keep moving. Did an accounting of my food last evening. I have 36.6 miles to go to Rangeley. I'm going to try really hard to make my food go that far. My only other option is Andover is about 8 miles from where I'm at right now. And I really don't want to pull off just yet and lose those miles. Now, as many of you are aware, and I know some of you have been posting in the comments, I'm under the gun to summit Mount Katahdin before their tentative scheduled closing of October the 15th. And trust me, I, more than anyone, am perfectly aware of what I'm up against. I have some averages that I'm trying to do in order to summit before the 15th. I'm trying to build a buffer for that. I've always been someone with a system of backups and alternative plans. So just to run through a few of those real quick. Plan B, goal is to get to Rangeley slightly ahead of the curve that I'm personally planning. And if I can't make that by Rangeley, I'm going to immediately pull a parachute, flip up, summit Katahdin, and then work my way southbound through Maine back to Rangeley. I do think I'm on schedule to be on time where I want to be passing through Rangeley. Plan C would be, if I feel I'm not going to be able to summit in time, just before the 100-mile wilderness at Shaw's Hostel, I will reevaluate everything again. If I feel my summit is in jeopardy, pull that parachute, flip up to Katahdin, work my way south, and finish back at Shaw's. So, very aware of what I'm up against. I love a challenge. I'm going to see if I can get it done. My ultimate goal, I very, very much want the summit last. It is possible for Katahdin to close early. Has in the past. I've talked with the park personally. Actually called a couple different times to make sure that I was getting the same information from different individuals, and they have not closed earlier than the 15th for quite a few years. But it's 2020. We'll probably get 10 feet of snow next week. I'll be sledding, taking the chairlift up to Katahdin, and skiing back down. Regardless, I know what I'm up against, everybody. Pushing north, where I want to be. State of Maine. Beautiful day, everyone. Thanks for walking with me. Let's go. Of all the wildlife I've seen along the way, one thing I would absolutely love to see, especially while in Maine, would be a moose. Check this out. That's my first indicator that I am in moose country. Although one of my fears is running into a moose that may be in the rut, because that could be quite dangerous. I will tread cautiously. So in the past probably 0.3, I've already passed probably a half a dozen piles of moose droppings. And I think I just found its official privy here on the AT. Although none of it appears to be fresh, I'm not telling you how I tested it either. But it doesn't taste very well. No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully, I will get to see one at some point. But it seems like there's definitely some moose activity here on the AT. A view from Wyman Mountain, everybody, mile 1940.8. Hall Mountain Lean-To, everyone. Okay, everybody. Actually ran into a couple other nobos that I've been hiking around. One I haven't seen for some time. Ran into Spurs. And brother, I apologize for not getting a picture with you, Spurs. I'd met Spurs way down south earlier this year. And I get out of camp this morning. I see another tent set up across the stream from where I was. And I hear him stirring around, so I figured I'd stop down and say hello to see if, you know, Nobo, Sobo, section hiker, just to be friendly. Fella sticks his head out of the tent. He says, "Hey, Wild, how's it going, man?" He said, "It's me, Spurs." I recognized the name right away, but I didn't recognize the guy. So we talked for a little bit, and name definitely rang a bell. And later on, here he comes up the trail with a Spurs jersey on. And I remembered who he was immediately, except for now, he is 100 pounds lighter and has a full beard. So Spurs, hey brother, it's great to see you. Also finally got to see up close and personal Muck Fishigan. Figure out his trail name, everybody. That's truly what it is. Apparently he's a big Ohio State fan, if I have that correct. And we had the very last few minutes hiking into the Carlos cow shelter the other night. He was right behind me with a headlamp on. We actually talked for a few minutes, but all I saw was his headlamp. So I got to see him again today. And all three of us were able to hike around each other a little bit, have some lunch, which is really cool. And also ran into Valley Forge. I'm going to tell you more about my encounter with Valley Forge in just a few minutes here. But one very important thing that I forgot to mention earlier, I covered my plan A, which of course is to summit last at Katahdin. Plan B is hit Rangeley and to flip up to summit Katahdin and head south, finish at Rangeley. Plan C was to get to Shaw's Hostel just before the 100-mile wilderness, flip up to Katahdin, hike south to Shaw's and finish up. I didn't cover Plan D. You can never forget Plan D. Valley Forge, what can you tell me about Plan D?
Plan D? D is for dinner.
D is for dinner!
D is for supper!
All right, let's eat, everybody. Okay, everybody, as you can tell, I've dropped anchor at a hostel here this evening. I want to give you a little backstory as far as how I got there. This whole journey has just been nothing but a series of twists and turns and unexpected blessings, and ended up at the cabin in Andover, Maine here this evening. How that started was Valley Forge, who you just saw give the description of Plan D. He showed up on trail today, and he had a bag of trail magic with him. He had a whole bunch of pancakes and leftover sausage and potatoes and onions left over from the breakfast here this morning, and he was kind enough to bring that out to share that with us. So we're, chowing down on all these goodies that he had brought out, and he says, he said, they're coming to pick me up in 2 hours, and you can come here too. So the more I thought about it, I thought, it doesn't take much to talk me into all-you-can-eat family-style dinner, all-you-can-eat breakfast. So I, put in 10 miles today and decided to come here. So, like I said, this journey, I just never know where I'm going to end up. So we're sitting here having dinner this evening with the family here. Honey, the owner, she's telling stories of her hiking the AT. Everyone else at the table, some previous thru hikers sharing their stories. And sitting here having dinner, and come to find out that the very dinner table that I'm sitting at was signed by a very special individual. And if you take a look at this dinner table, you can see the top. This looks like a regular, huge family gathering type table. So Honey begins to tell a story about the very first thru hiker to complete the AT, Earl Schaefer. She's sharing stories about how they had helped him, how he had came through their hostel, and even CBS News interviewing them, and they were a part of that because he was in the area during, I guess he was 79 at the time, getting ready to turn 80, and they were assisting him with his thru hike. So come to find out, I look around, there's pictures on the wall and pictures with them and their family, and come to find out that the very first person to hike the AT, Earl Schaefer, sat and ate at this dinner table. So she begins to explain that, yeah, his signature is underneath the table along with many others. And she welcomes me to sign this very table underneath it, which is apparently going to end up in an AT museum someday. She has promised them that when she passes that she's going to donate this table and they're going to put it on display. What an honor. Let's go underneath the table and I'm going to show you. So right here is his signature in the green. It says Crazy One. Earl V. Schaefer, 48, 65, and 98. All 3 years that he hiked the AT. So honey told me I could sign this table under one condition. She said, you cannot quit. She said, you have to promise me you must see it through to the end and you must summit Katahdin. And you guys know I am not a quitter. Katahdin, here I come. What an honor. Thank you so much, honey. And right here is a summit photograph of Earl Schaefer right there when he summited Katahdin in 1998. Thanks everybody so much for watching Wild on the Trail. We're going to Katahdin. Good night, everybody.